Hey, we're back for another tasting of chocolate from my trip to Amsterdam. So for those of you who are just joining us, I had the pleasure of attending Chocoa, a chocolate festival in Amsterdam a few weeks ago, and I picked up a huge stash of chocolate. So now we're trying some of those bars here with you. So, one of the things I really love is when I find a chocolate maker who uses local ingredients or local traditions to make an inclusion chocolate. What's an inclusion chocolate? Well, it's a bar of chocolate that has something other than chocolate ingredients added. So in other words, it could have nuts or fruit or spices, and that's an inclusion bar. In this case, it's the Haggis Spice Bar from ChocTree, a Scottish chocolate maker. Okay, so there's a couple ways you could go with this. So first of all, I love the fact that it's, haggis is a local Scottish tradition. They've taken something local and they've added it to chocolate. But just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. In this case, it works so amazingly well. It is not the haggis itself, it is the spices from haggis. And I did not know what those were, but if I read the ingredients to you here, it is pepper, coriander, nutmeg, thyme, rosemary, and salt. And admittedly, I got to taste this bar before I purchased it, and I absolutely fell in love with the flavors and brought a bar home. Again, haggis spice from the ChocTree in Scotland. So let's open this up and give it a try. Oh, and before we do that, though, look at the tartan. Isn't that great? Tartan, Scottish tartan around. So again, very true to its roots. The other thing about the ingredients before we open it is this does also have cocoa mass, cane sugar, cocoa butter, and gluten-free oats in it. So, of course, haggis is made with oats, so it's appropriate that there are oats in here. I think the piece that may be missing is I believe there's some offal, meaning animal parts in the haggis. There's no animal parts in here, if I have my haggis correct. So all right, let's give this a try. I'm gonna open this up, see if I need some scissors to get it open, or if I can just do this myself. It's always nice when you can open a bar easily without scissors. This one opens, no scissors required. Okay. So again, this is an inclusion bar. It has spices added to it. Sometimes the chocolate maker will tell you what the origin of the cacao is. I'm trying to see if I can tell that from this particular bar. The ChocTree has a number of single origin bars, and I did bring their Belize bar using Maya Mountain Cacao home, but in this case, we're going to try the inclusion bar. So again, I'm going to look at the bar. It's nice and shiny. I want to see that. In great shape, particularly considering how far it's traveled from Europe back to Seattle. I can see little flecks of oats in there because there are oats for the haggis. With an inclusion bar, I'm going to break it. Okay, there we go. Got a little square. With an inclusion bar, if you've been following my other tastings, you'll know that when you're tasting plain single origin chocolate, you don't chew. You just let it melt. With inclusion bars, I give you permission to chew. There's usually going to be other ingredients in there, and you kind of have to chew it. So I sort of alternate. I'll chew, I'll melt, I'll let it melt, I'll chew some more. But do whatever works for you and whatever you're going to need to do to get the full flavor out of this. So I'm going to do a little bit more chewing than usual. When I smell this one, I can smell all those spices in there, all those haggis spices. When I tasted this at the festival, I was absolutely blown away by the spices. But I didn't really think about what they were. Now that I've read the ingredients, I can really taste that rosemary. And the pepper and the thyme. And it was interesting too, because when I tasted it at the festival, I thought, it's probably some brown spices, more like cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, allspice. So when I read the ingredients, I was surprised because these are very much more savory spices. While there is a little bit of nutmeg, it's mostly pepper, coriander, thyme, rosemary, and salt. And now that I have time to consider it, I'm not standing at a festival with a lot of people and a lot of chocolate on my palate. I'm really picking up those flavor notes. It's really good. But even though it tends to be savory spices, they blend beautifully well with this chocolate. I think this is one of my new favorite chocolate bars for so many reasons. It's so true to its roots, being from a chocolate maker from Scotland. It's got great flavor. It's really well balanced. You know, as I said earlier, just because you can doesn't mean you should when it comes to inclusions and ingredients. Just because you want to try something kind of cool and funky, maybe it'll work, but maybe it won't, or something very different. In this case, I think it works beautifully. It's so balanced. It's this amazing experience. I just want to keep eating it. Maybe not such a good thing. not so good for my waist. But I really do want to keep eating this chocolate. It is absolutely amazing. So great job, ChocTree, with the haggis spice. Don't let the haggis scare you away. All right, stay tuned for more chocolate tastings. And in the meantime, happy chocolate tasting.